Continuing with the chapter Ivan tries O level. Yesterday we have read the story where Mr. Jackson receives a call, Stephens receives a call, and he is informed by the governor of the prison that he himself should drop McCleary at the prison gate and he should ensure that Ivan is locked properly in his cell. So he performs his duty properly. When he comes back, he finds something horrible. He finds a person sitting on the chair and he was bleeding badly, right? So the blood was everywhere, spreading horribly over the white clerical collar and down into the black clerical front. So we are continuing from page number 82, second stanza. Stephens shouted. Please continue.
Stephen shouted wildly for Jackson, and the words appeared to penetrate the curtain of blood that veiled McLary's ears. For the minister's hand felt feebly for a handkerchief from his pocket and held it to his bleeding head. The blood seeping slowly through the white linen, he gave a long, low moan and tried to speak, but his voice trailed away. And by the time Jackson had arrived and dispatched Stephen to ring the police and the ambulance, the handkerchief was a sticky, squelchy wad of cloth.
McLeary slowly raised himself. His face twisted tightly with pain. Dinah, worry about the ambulance. Man, I'm a right. Get the police. I know where he. He closed his eyes and another drip of blood splashed like a huge red raindrop on the wooden floor. His hand felt along the table, found the German question paper and grasped it tightly in his blood-stained hands. Get the governor. I know where Evans.
Almost immediately, sirens were sounding. Prison officers barked orders. Puzzled prisoners pushed their way along the corridors. Doors were banged and bolted, and phones were ringing everywhere. And within a minute, McLary, with Jackson and Stephens supporting him on either side, his face now streaked and caked with drying blood, was greeted in the prison yard by the governor, perplexed and grim.
We must get you to hospital immediately. I just don't.
You have called the police.
Yes. They are on their way. But I'm a
I
right.
am right.
Look
I am
here.
right. I am right. Look here awkwardly. He opened the German question paper and thrust it before the governor's face. It's there. See what I mean.
The governor looked down and realized that McLeary was trying to tell him. A photocopied sheet had been carefully and cleverly su- super, superimposed over the last, originally blank, page of the question paper.
Now, what has happened? When he came back after dropping McCleary at the gate, he returned back and found there was a person sitting on the chair. Right? At first, he thought the first glance was that the person was Evans. But then he realized that the person was not Evans, rather, he was McCleary, who was bleeding badly. That means Ivan had injured McCleary and he had ran away. That means the person whom actually who was escorted till the prison gate was not McCleary, was Ivan. So once again, Ivan has befooled all the authorities, the police, and everybody, and he had fled away from the prison. Right? So it was again a big slap on the face of the cops and the authorities, right? Because they were very cautious, they were very alert and vigilant. They wanted to ensure that already thrice he had attempted to flee from the prison, so they should not give him any more chance. But again, he grabbed a chance and he escaped. Right. So when Stephens came back and he shouted wildly for Jackson because he saw that there was a man who was bleeding badly. The man at first he thought was Evans, but it was not Evans. He took out his handkerchief from the pocket and held it to his bleeding head, the blood seeping slowly through the white linen. He gave a long, low moan. Moan is a cry of pain, and tried to speak, but his voice trailed away. And by the time Jackson had arrived and dispatched Stephens to ring the police and ambulance, the handkerchief was sticky, squelchy wash of cloth, means he was bleeding badly. Now, McCleary slowly raised himself, his face twisted tightly with pain. Do not worry about the ambulance man. Do not worry about the ambulance man. I am right. I'm right. Get the police. So he says, I'm okay. Please call the police. Call the other higher authorities. What he wants to say. I know where he. So he said, I know where he has gone. He closed his eyes, and another drip of blood splashed like a huge raindrop on the wooden floor. So his hand felt along the table, found the German question paper. So he found that German question paper and he grasped it tightly in his blood-stained hand. So he picked that question paper. He get the governor. I know where Evans. So McCleary, who was bleeding badly, what he was trying to say, he says, don't worry about the ambulance. I'm okay. Call the police, call the higher authorities because I know where Evans had ran away. Because he, in that condition also, he picked up the question paper, and perhaps somewhere in the question paper, Evans had hinted where he was escaping, where he was going. So he said that I know where Evans is. So he was trying to inform the police again and again about it. So almost immediately, then there were sirens, prison officers, barked orders, puzzled prisoners pushed their way along the corridors. Doors were banged and bolted, and phones were ringing everywhere. So it was an emergency situation, kind of in a prison where the sirens were there. Everybody was running because again, the prisoner has ran away from the Oxford prison. Obviously now these the whether it's Stephens or Jackson, everybody they were answerable to the higher authorities, and it was a big question mark on the entire police department. So there was an emergency kind of situation where the sirens were ringing, phones were ringing, doors were bolted, and there was basically a very panicky situation. And within a minute, McCleary, with Jackson and Stephens supporting him on either side, his face now streaked and caked with drying blood, was greeted in the prison yard by the governor, perplexed and grim. The governor was confused what has gone wrong and how it has gone wrong. He greeted McCleary, who was injured. We must get you to hospital immediately. I just don't. You have called the police. So he said, have you called the police? Yes, yes, they are on their way. But I'm right, I'm right. Look here. Awkwardly, he opened the German question paper and thrust it before the governor's face. So before the governor, he placed the question paper. It's there, see what I mean. So McCleary was trying to show them that what he has mentioned in the question paper. The governor realized what McCleary was trying to tell him. A photocopied sheet had been carefully and cleverly superimposed over the last page of the question paper. So a photocopied sheet was clearly put in the last page of the question paper. Right? So again, the prisoner who was trying to be very decent, very sophisticated, absolutely non-violent, but a very cunning, a very clever prisoner he was, in that he had played a smart act. Still, the smartness you will see further when the entire plot is going to be revealed. You will find actually he was a very smart person, right? So let's find the mystery further. Let's explore the story more. Yes, please continue.
Ye see what they have done, Governor. Ye see. His voice trailed off again as the governor, trudging the layers of long neglecting learning, willed himself to translate the German text before him.
Sighed Solentem scorn. Very Bredeton plan genau folgen. Der which dies sieht auch Punkt ist drei Minuten vor Ende des Examens. You must follow the plan already some think. The vital point in time is 3 minutes before the end of the examination, but something. Don't hit him too hard. Remember, he is a minister. And don't overdo the Scots accent when.
A fast approaching siren wailed to its crescendo. The great doors of the prison yard were pushed back, and a white police car squealed to a jerky halt beside them.
Detective Superintendent Carter swung himself out of the passenger seat and saluted the governor. What the hell's happening, sir? And turning to McLeary, Christ, who's hit him?
But McLary cut across whatever explanation the governor might have given. Elsfield, way officer, I know where Evans. He was breathing heavily and leaned for support against the side of the car, where the imprint of his hand was left in tarnished crimson
In
ink.
bewilderment, Carter looked to the governor for guidance. What?
Take him with you if you think he will be all right. He is the only one who seems to know what's happening.
Carter opened the back door and helped McClary inside, and within a few seconds the car leaped away in a spurt of gravel.
Elsfield Way, McClary had said, and there it was staring up at the governor from the last few lines of the German text. From Elsfield Way, drive to the Haddington roundabout, where, yes, of course, the examination board was in Elsfield Way, and someone from the board must have been involved in the escape plan from the very beginning. The question paper itself, the correction slip.
The governor turned to Jackson and Stephens. I don't need to tell you what has happened, do I? His voice sounded.
Okay, wait,
Please
wait.
hold on. Okay.
Sorry. Now, so he just read out heavy find. McCleary read out those German words which was mentioned there, and it clearly said that the plan, that he must follow the plan, and the vital point in the time is 3 minutes before the end of the examination. But something. Don't hit him too hard. Remember, he is a minister. So perhaps somebody was giving him the instructions through that question paper. It was already written there that just the 3 minutes before the end of the exam is very crucial. They're very crucial, and don't hit him too hard. Ultimately, he's a minister from the board of examination, right? So then a fast approaching siren came to the point. Crescendo is the point where it is everything is being plotted. So the great doors of the prison yard were pushed back, and a white police car squealed to a jerky halt beside them. Detective Superintendent Carter. Now, higher authorities, obviously, there were other agencies also involved. So, Detective Superintendent Carter swung himself out of the passenger seat and saluted the governor. Now, there were two high authorities. One was the governor. Earlier, the entire thing was looked after by Stephen and Jackson, right? Governor was there, and now Detective Superintendent Carter was also there. So, we have Carter, Governor, Stephens, Jackson, right? So Carter asked, "What the hell is happening, sir?" And turning to McCleary, Christ, who has hit him? McCleary cut across whatever explanation the governor might have given. So before the governor could give any explanation that what has happened, McCleary interrupted in between and he said, "Elsfield Way, officer. I know where Evans." He was breathing heavily. He was panting as he had shed a lot of blood and leaned for support against the side of the car where the imprint of his hand was left in tarnished crimson. So, in bewilderment, Carter looked to the governor for guidance. So, in that confusion state, Carter looked at the governor for guidance. What? So, take him with you if you think he'll be all right. He's the only one who seems to know what's happening. So, now Carter tells the governor that if you think he can go along with you and he can understand because he's guiding you, he's telling according to the things mentioned in the paper, what he has written. So it's or what instructions were given to you. There was a supplement in between. There was a sheet in between the question paper where the instructions were given to him. Right. So he says that if he knows, then please take him along with you and go to the place Elsfield Way, because that was the point where again and again McClary was telling that Ivan has gone to this point. Now, take him with you. If he'll be all right, he's the only one who seems to know what's happening. Carter opened the back door and helped McClary inside, and within a few seconds, a car leaped away in spurt of travel. Elsfield Way, McClary had said, and there it was, staring up at the governor from the last few lines of the German text. From Elsfield Way, drive to Headington roundabout, where so he was simply reading it out what was mentioned on the paper, and then he was giving the instructions. Yes, of course, the examination board was in Elsfield. So examination board was in Elsfield Way, and someone from the board must have been involved in the escape plan from the very beginning, the question paper itself, the correction slip. So something was wrong, obviously. Now they believe that somebody from the examination board was involved into it. Then only the question paper, the correction slip, and all the things were well planned and well plotted. Right. The governor turned to Jackson and Stephens. I don't need to tell you what's happened, do I? So governor turned to Jackson and Stephens and said, do I need to tell you how things have gone wrong? His voice sounded. Please continue from this point. Let's continue, please. His voice sounded.
almost calm in its scathing contempt. And which one of you two morons was it who took Evans for a nice little walk to the main gates and waved him bye bye?
Morons is the word for fool, right? We use word morons for fools. So now he was asking who was the one of the you who was one of you two fools who had accompanied him to the gate and bid him goodbye.
It was me, sir, stammered Stephens. Just like you told me, sir. I could have sworn. What? Just like I told you, you say? What the hell?
When you rang, sir, and told me to,
When was that? The governor's voice was a whiplash now.
you know, sir, about 20 past 11, just before.
You blithering idiot man. It wasn't me who rang you. Don't you realize? But what was the use? He had used the telephone at that time, but only to try unsuccessfully once more to get through to the examination board.
He shook his head in growing despair and turned on the senior prison officer. As for you, Jackson, how long have you been pretending you have got a brain? Well, something. I will tell you something, Jackson. Your skull's empty, absolutely empty. It was Jackson who had spent 2 hours in Evan's cell the previous evening, and it was Jackson who had confidently reported that there was nothing hidden away there, nothing at all. And yet Evans had somehow managed to conceal not only a false beard, a pair of spectacles, a dog collar, and all the rest of his clerical paraphernalia, but also some sort of weapon which we had given McLeary such a terrible blow across the head. Or
Prison van bugged alongside, but the governor made no immediate move. He looked down along at again at the last line of the German to the Headington roundabout, where you go straight over and make your way to New Graben. New Graben? Where on earth? New. Something new grave. Never heard of it. There was a war grave somewhere near Reading, but no, it was probably a code word. Or and then it hit me. Newbury. God, yes. Newbury was a pretty big sort of place, but
Okay. Now this explanation is something which is very natural. Obviously, governor being the authority, he was authorized to look after what was about the prisoners and how to take care of them, about their safety and security, and they do not run away. So he was the supreme person there, right? And when things had gone wrong in this particular section, we find he was scolding to his subordinates, Stephens and Jackson, when he questions them, who out of you two morons accompanied him to gate and bid him goodbye? So Stephen said, Sir, I did that, and it was you who instructed me to do that. You remember when he receives a call from the governor that Stephens has to accompany Evans to the accompany McCleary to the gate, right? And Stephen was feeling very proud that governor was relying upon him so much, right? But here in this particular section, it was disclosed when governor says that I had never given you a call. So perhaps again it was all plotted. There was a call, somebody who was assisting Ivan to escape from the prison had made a call, and with the help of that call, he was being instructed that Stephen had to accompany McCleary to the gate. So, by actually, it was not McCleary; it was Ivan who was disguised as McCleary. Then governor also scolded to Jackson because Jackson was the one who did all the examination. You remember कि उसने पूरी checking की थी that he's not carrying anything, there's no beard. When he also spoke about the hat. So Jackson was the one who reported to the governor there is nothing concealed, nothing hidden, and there is nothing at all where that he might find anything fishy, right? But then he had everything, right? That false beard, false spectacles, and some sharp thing was obviously there with which McCleary hit, was hit, right? And he disguised himself as McCleary. How actually ironical itself. How ironical the story is, where we find, see, the prisoner was in the prison, and in front of the police authorities, he got an opportunity to disguise himself. He got an opportunity to hit the outsider, and the prison authorities themselves, they are escorting him to the prison gate without knowing that they are not escorting McCleary. They are escorting the prisoner himself. They are escorting the person himself, right? Ivan को ही वो गेट तक ड्रॉप करने जा रहे हैं, and they were assuming कि वो McCleary को छोड़ने जा रहे हैं. So obviously things were very ironical, and they were really feeling very bad because of their own follies, at how that clever man had befooled them. So it was a terrible blow for all the police authorities, whether it was Stephens, Jackson, or governor. They were very upset. Now it was the point that when the van had blocked alongside, you remember McCleary के साथ अब वो लोग van पे they're going and in search of Evans, what is mentioned in the question paper. So according to that instruction, what he has mentioned, they're following that, and they have reached that Headington roundabout. Then you go straight over and make your way to New Gribben. Then say New Gribben. New Gribben is no place. There is no place as New Gribben. So New Grave. So they get, maybe it's a code word for New Grave or War Grave. So there was a War Grave somewhere near Reading. But no, it was probably a code word, or then it hit him. Newbury was the word. God, yes, Newbury was a pretty big sort of place that the person had ran away perhaps to Newbury. How much time is left? Okay, so I think we can stop here. This time is up. हाँ जी